Sometimes I watch a movie and I seriously start thinking about how much longer I'll be able to do this show. Because sometimes, believe it or not, even if a movie's bad, I'll watch it, but I just can't find the jokes to make. And then there are movies like this where there's almost too much to joke about. I almost feel like Deathbed, the bed that eats, has breathed more life into this show. Because after Food Fight, like, I had to take a breather. I really had to dig deep to come back after that. There was times where I just sat there thinking, what the f*** am I doing? Seriously. This movie is Deathbed, the bed that eats. And yes, that is the full title. So I will be referring to the movie by its title in full throughout this review because, well, the title's just hilarious. Now, Deathbed, the Bed That Eats was a low-budget horror movie that was made in the late 70s, and it's pretty much exactly what you would expect. Now, I've got to give the movie credit because the title really lets you know what you're in for. If you pop this movie in and you're not expecting a bed that eats things, well, I don't know what else to tell you. This definitely isn't a Troll 2 situation where the title had nothing to do with the movie. Had nothing to do with the original movie. Now that, I really, you know what? I have contempt for that. As bad as some movies are, you gotta respect the fact that this movie's going, hey, guess what? This is a movie about a bed that eats shit. So, you know, fair warning. I can't find any redeeming quality about the movie. And some people online, yeah, it's really weird and kind of dreamy, like, yeah, that's cool and unique and stuff. Okay, that's fine. That doesn't mean it's a good movie. Something can be unique, but still be just a piece of shit. I don't understand how you can have a scene where a guy gets his hands eaten off and no one's screaming. Yeah, I understand it's a low budget movie, but the acting is pretty much non-existent. It's amazing. The bed is probably the best actor in the movie. The thing I find most interesting about the movie, though, is the cult following that it has. Seriously, if you go online and just Google it, you will find tons of reviews from people that just seriously love this movie. And honestly, that doesn't really surprise me, because even though the movie, I think, is really horrible, I think it's a bad movie, there's qualities about it that are very strange and kind of unique. So I can see why it'd be a cult movie. And if you're one of those people that wants to try and defend this movie, go ahead. You know, I can't recommend it. I can't recommend watching it. I can't. Some movies I can, like Samurai Cop and Troll 2, because of the entertainment value that you get out of watching those movies. This, I was mostly bored most of the time. So if you're interested, you're gonna watch it no matter what I say. So go and watch it. And if you become one of those people that thinks it's this, you know, misunderstood work of art, then please tell me how wrong I am, because I don't care. Any of you who are fans know that I have a love affair with bad movies. There's a lot of bad movies that I actually do enjoy just out of sheer entertainment value that you get from them. This is not one of them. It's not. I'm pretty sure there is a sequence in this movie where the bed is masturbating. So the movie starts with what sounds like someone eating an apple, and it just goes on like this for about a minute. The only problem is that it's not really scary or frightening, it's just kind of confusing, especially for someone who hasn't seen the movie before. Now we have this house, not sure what the deal is with the house, but kind of separated from the house in the back, there's this just separate room with the bed in it. Inside this room, there's a fire going. Now, this is quite the spooky mystery. I mean, there's no one in the house, so who gathered all the kindling and started the fire? Maybe it was the bed. Now, this couple shows up at the house. It's just too bad we can't see their faces at first because the cinematography is so horrible, but whatever. So they go inside the house, and I'm actually curious as to why. It's not like they're a couple of teenagers trying to find some private place to bang each other. I mean, this guy looks around my age, maybe older. Does he not have his own place? Or is this just his idea of a romantic picnic? Yes, everything here pretty much rounds out the seduction checklist. Abandoned house that looks like a dungeon, creepy looking bed, apples, champagne, and a bucket of KFC. But I'm pretty sure her panties have already hit the floor by that point. Now, this is how the bed eats stuff. It releases some kind of yellow foam and just absorbs whatever it's eating. And the food goes into some sort of yellow bath where it's digested. What I think is funny here is how the bed actually spits back out the garbage of what's left. It even puts the chicken bones back into the bucket, apparently. Now, they start making out, and at first the girl says, "Stop, I'm hungry. Let's eat first." But then I guess the touch of the guy's hand changes her mind. And then again, she says she's nervous and that they should eat. However, once he finds out that all the food has been eaten already, she wants to go back to making out and says she wasn't hungry anyways. So, wait, what happened here? Did seeing that all the food had been mysteriously eaten make you less nervous? I gotta say, if I was the guy in this situation, all things considered, mysterious room, creepy bed, now all the food's disappearing, I just don't think I could get hard in that situation. Chub, maybe. Maybe. It would just bother me too much. You know that you brought food. You know that you brought 2 full apples because you just took them out of the bag, and now there's nothing left. Just the cores, an empty bottle, and a bucket full of chicken bones. And he's just like, something's wrong. You're damn right something's wrong. I would be like, okay, that's it. We are leaving. I don't care about your creepy dungeon fetish. We are getting out of here. But of course that doesn't happen, and the bed eats them both. And now we have this sequence that for some reason superimposes the bed over old stock footage. I guess to show that the bed has been around for a really long time. And I really love the newspaper headlines here. Strange munching sounds heard in night. Mayor demands action. Yeah, just imagine that press conference. Someone or something has been making strange munching sounds at night. I demand action. I want to know who is munching, what they're munching on, and why they can't share it with the rest of us. I mean, come on. Would be nice. I'm just saying. And now we're introduced to the guy in the painting. I'm serious, there's this guy and he's trapped in a painting on the wall, and we'll find out why that is later. Not that that's much of a tease. Ooh, I gotta stay tuned to find out why the guy's trapped in the painting. Can't click on the YouTube sidebar now. I'm locked in. Now we hear about how the bed is using its power to cause damage to the house. Oh no, a crack. And look, more vandalism. Somebody spray painted on that statue. Oh wait, I guess that's supposed to be blood. As if the statue was crying blood. So the demon bed used its power to destroy the house. Really? It just caused the house to... the house apparently collapses, but where's the pile of rubble? There's nothing left. It doesn't make sense to take it out on the house. It's not like the house can feel anything. Unless maybe there's another demon who possesses the house and the two of you don't like each other. Maybe that's it. Maybe there's a long-standing beef between all of the household items. Now watch out, the coffee table and the desk lamp are this close from going to war with each other. You don't want to see that, folks. Because once the silverware gets involved, then it's just going to be a bloodbath. Now I just want to clarify who these 3 girls are so you know who I'm talking about throughout this movie. Because none of the characters are really that interesting anyways. So we got Diane in the denim, and her friend in the pink is Sharon, and Susan is the one who is kind of the outcast here. So they find this makeshift graveyard in the back, which is supposed to be the final resting place of this dead girl, even though she's obviously moving and breathing. Now, at this point, we get to see a bunch of the past victims of the bed, and this shit is just hilarious. First, we have the Reverend, who instantly starts spitting out blood, but the funniest part is probably the piece of foam that's stuck on his glasses. Then we have this old woman who's brushing up on her research of oral lesbians, I guess. Now, this is supposed to represent a kid, but I'm sorry, this is bullshit. Why would the stuffed animal be bleeding? Oh, symbolism, I get it. Apparently some guy ran some kind of sexual rejuvenation clinic on the property, and for some reason electrified the bed. I really don't know what this has to do with anything, but whatever. What's up with the circus music? Then, during some kind of orgy, the bed decides to eat everyone. Seriously, this movie is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Then some mafia guy gets the house and uses the cellar as a hideout. So one night they're playing cards on the bed, and the bed changes his cards and writes on them to say, "Ha ha, you're dead." Now, the bed starts eating them, so instead of attempting to get off of the bed, they decide, hey, let's just shoot it. Yeah, let's take a gun and just start firing bullets into the mattress. I'm sure that will stop whatever is happening to us. And I also like how the guy doesn't really seem to be affected by the situation at all. He's just emotionless. So now we finally learned what happened to the guy trapped in the painting. Apparently he was really sick and dying. So one day, he's looking at his paintings and decides, what the hell, I might as well draw the bed. And I guess the bed didn't want to eat his diseased flesh, so it resurrected him and trapped him behind the painting, or in the painting. Doesn't matter. Now this is where we actually learn the origin of the bed, and it's both hilarious and confusing. So a long time ago there was a demon who lived in a tree for some reason. I don't know, maybe he was a Keebler elf. And then one day he just decided, screw it, I'm done with the tree, and he turned into a breeze. So as he's drifting around all windy and shit, he sees a girl and decides, yeah, I'd hit that. 10 out of 10 would bang. Then he creates a bed and seduces the girl as he takes a human form, but because he's a demon, I guess the sex killed her. So the dude was so upset by this that his eyes turned cold and shattered, and the blood from his eyes spilled on the bed, and this gave the bed a life of its own. You're following me here? Then the girl's parents found her, buried her, and took the bed inside. I mean, the parents didn't find anything strange about this situation. You find a mysterious bed on your property with your dead daughter lying on it, and you decide you're gonna lug this thing inside and sleep on it from now on? Was it like, oh my god, our daughter is dead? But on the plus side, we did get this free bed. So, I mean, win some, lose some? Am I right? Free bed. I mean, was there any sort of inquiry as to what happened? Or did this just seem natural to them? Yeah, you gotta be careful out there in the backyard. There's all sorts of dangerous stuff like snakes, crocodiles, beds. And then the bed managed to kill the rest of the bloodline. Really, I mean, how stupid were these people? If someone in my family was found dead on a mysterious bed that came out of nowhere, and then more family members started dying after bringing the bed into the house, pretty sure I would stay as far away from the bed as possible. Now what's this? A shoe for some reason? Again, how is the shoe bleeding? So I guess the bed is in pain and starts bleeding every time he sees the one girl, Sharon, because it reminds him of the girl he fell in love with. Wow, I didn't think a demon could be so whipped. Now this scene is just absolutely ridiculous. Diane starts getting eaten by the bed and pulls herself out. The next shot of her dragging herself to the door goes on for almost 3 minutes. It is amazing how long this shot is, but the funny part is that after you've sat there watching her eventually get to the door, the bed just shoots out a sheet that wraps around her leg and drags her back in. Of course, Sharon shows up, but by then it's too late and she's forced to watch her friend being swallowed by a mattress. I also find it funny that Sharon doesn't really react emotionally at all. The whole time she doesn't even say a single word through the whole thing. Your friend just disappeared into a bed, right before your eyes, I might add, and this doesn't spark any feelings of panic or confusion. You're just gonna sit there? Okay. Now Sharon's brother comes up with the brilliant idea of getting Diane out of the bed by stabbing it with a knife. Yes, your friend seems to be trapped somewhere inside of here, so I think the best course of action is for me to ram this blade in there as hard as I can. And if you thought things couldn't get any more comical, You'd be wrong. The bed starts eating dude's hands, which you'd think would be quite painful for him and frightening for her. Yet she doesn't make a sound, and her brother just kind of grunts through the whole thing. Now, luckily, I've never been in this situation, but I'm pretty sure that if I was, my reaction would be a lot different than this. I can't believe this. I drive all the way out here to find my missing sister and end up getting my hands bitten off by an evil mattress. Mondays, am I right?
I don't think I can stand it. Sharon, you'll have to take them off.
Honestly, I don't think he should be so hasty. I'm sure those skeleton hands are still good for something. At the very least, he could use them to make some prank videos on YouTube. So Sharon goes ahead and, without speaking a word of course, breaks off her brother's hands, which again, you'd think would be quite painful, but apparently not. Dude's even falling asleep, he's so bored. So now I guess since the demon is asleep, the bed loses some power, and the dude in the painting can now talk to people or something. He tells her how to do this ritual, which involves her cutting a circle into the floor, which bleeds, and I guess this also kills her, but brings the original girl back to life somehow. And this all destroys the bed, which is probably the most exciting part of the movie. Now, if you check online, there's actually another movie called Deathbed that came out in 2002, which almost looks as bad as this. So now I guess I gotta answer the question of how bad is Deathbed. I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5 on the movie meter. There's a kernel of a concept in this film that I don't think is truly horrible. There was some creativity involved with this, so you gotta give it credit. To be honest, I think I've said this in maybe some reviews before, but I really do appreciate and respect anybody that goes out and tries to make a movie, which obviously they only had $30,000 to make this. So as much as I think it's a bad movie, I always respect the ambition of somebody to go out and make it, especially on a shoestring budget like that. You know, all that being said, it doesn't excuse it from just failing and pretty much, you know, at every element in the filmmaking process. I really didn't feel that this is a so bad it's good situation like Samurai Cop or Troll 2. This is just a so bad that it's bad. If you're curious, you could check it out, but I wouldn't recommend it. Honestly, I could actually see this being remade into, you know, kind of like a B-movie exploitation film now, and, you know, if it was done right, it could be kind of entertaining and funny. So now I guess the only thing to do is sit back and wait, because the way things are going these days, I wouldn't be shocked if they made a remake of this, and probably a few sequels like Annoying Armchair, The Recliner That Won't Shut Up, and Disease Couch, the sofa that makes you sick.